Okay, good evening and welcome to today's class. Yes, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Let's start today's class. So today we'll be starting with a new chapter called ratio and proportion. Okay. So first of all, what do we mean by ratio? Okay. Ratio is just kind of the relationship between any two numbers or quantities, right? So for example, and we use the division sign, right? A fraction. How are they related to each other? For example, let me say I want to know the ratio of boys in the class to girls in the class. If there are around 20 boys in the class and around 10 girls in the class, then I can say the ratio of boys and girls is 20 is to 10. Okay. 20 is to 10 is the ratio, and or if I simplify this, I can also write this as 20 divided by 10, and when I simplify this, the ratio becomes 2 is to 1. Okay. So which means that for every one girl in the class, there are two boys in the class, or reverse. If there are 20 girls and 10 boys, for every two girls, there is one boy. That is the meaning of a ratio. You're comparing, whenever you're comparing two quantities, you're going to use it. Okay. So it's just the comparison of any two quantities. Okay. Yeah. So similarly, the ratio A to B is the fraction A by B, and it is written as A. This colon indicates is to A is to B. Okay. So A is the first term, also called as the antecedent, and B is the second term, also called as the consequent. Okay. Okay. So how do you know if a ratio is in the simplest form, right? Similarly, how do you know a fraction is in the simplest form? 2 by 1 is in the simplest form because the HCF of this 2 and 1, the HCF is 1, right? I cannot divide it. There are no other common factors for me to cancel them. So when there is no common factor, then the ratio is in the simplest form. Okay. Or the lowest term. Okay. So always you have to write the ratio in the simplest form or the lowest form. Okay. So now let's look at some properties of ratios. Okay, the first property of ratios says that the value of the ratio remains unchanged if one of its terms is multiplied or divided by a same non-zero number. So each one, remember the keyword over here is each one. Okay. So if I have a ratio 2 is to 5 or 2 by 5, if I multiply each term with any number, any non-zero number, I cannot multiply it by 0, okay, except 0. If I multiplied by any other number, let's say 10, the same number, then the value of the ratio doesn't change. 20 by 50 is still 2 is to 5. If I take any number, I can multiply and divide by any number, the ratio will not change. Okay. Yes. So the same thing is written in mathematical form. A by B is equal to PA by PB is equal to QA by QB, where P and Q are any numbers. These are any numbers. Okay. So look at this property of ratios. So A by B is equal to A by P, okay, divided by B by P, which means, so this was multiplying the ratios, right? I can also divide the numbers by any number. I can multiply over here by any numbers, or I can also divide them. So for example, if I divide 2 divided by 2 and 5 divided by 2, the ratio still remains the same. Okay, so this is equal to 1 divided by 2. This is like 2 and a half, right? 2.5. This is the same ratio as 2:5. So mathematically in this form, if I divide by the same number P, so P is over here, P is also over here, and the ratio, the value of the ratio doesn't change. Similarly, I can do it the same thing with Q. A by Q is Q, B by Q. This Q and this Q can get cancelled. Similarly, this P and this P will get cancelled. Okay. Two ratios in their fraction notation can be compared just as we compare real numbers. Okay. So you can compare any two ratios. For at A by B is equal to P by Q, I can cross multiply over it like this. This goes over here, which means AQ is equal to BP. That means because it's division over here, you can do the same operations like addition, multiplication, subtraction as you did with the previous numbers. Okay, so AQ, AQ is equal to BP. Okay. So if I give you a ratio B is to C, okay, or let me write B by D is equal to C by A. If I give you this ratio, it means that B by D, this ratio symbol indicates the division, divided by C by A. Okay. Now, how can I simplify this? B by D divided by C by A. Okay, so this, if I want to simplify it, this will go to the numerator. So we'll take the reciprocal of this. Then this becomes AB by CD. If suppose I say that this is equal to 1, or let me just erase everything and write it again. So I've given you a ratio B by D is to C by A, which is equal to 1. Okay, so this is your ratio. The meaning of this is B by D is to, the ratio means division, right? So divided by C by A is equal to 1. Now how do I simplify this? This goes to the numerator, and this comes to the denominator, which means AB by CD is equal to 1, or AB is equal to CD. If I bring CD this side, AB is equal to CD. Okay, this is the ratio. Okay, again, the second example over here. If A by B is greater than P by Q, this means that AQ is greater than VP. Okay. Okay, any doubt till here? Yeah, Harit and Varshit, any doubt till here?
Clear, sir.
Okay. So if two ratios are equal, so A by B is equal to C by D, right? Then that also means B by A is equal to D by C. This property is called as invertendo. Remember this name? This property is called as invertendo, where if I invert the numbers, B by A is equal to D by C, then still the answer is the same. The ratio remains the same. Okay. So if I flip the ratio, then they're still going to be equal. That's the meaning of invertendo. If you flip or invert ratio, they are still equal. Okay. Then there's another property. If A by B is equal to C by D, then A by C is equal to B by D. So I can exchange this. This can come over here. This can come over here. So this is called as alternando. This property of ratios is called as alternando. Remember, this is invertendo. This is alternando. Next. So, a different color. Again, when I take A by B is equal to C by D. Okay. Also, A plus B by B is equal to C plus D by D. So if I add the denominator to the numerator, still the ratio remains the same. This is called as componendo. So remember, look at this carefully. What we're doing over here, we're adding the denominator to the numerator. Only the numerator is changing over here. If we add the denominator to the numerator on both the sides over here, still the ratio remains the same. And other than adding, you can also subtract it. So instead of this, if I subtract the denominator, A minus B is equal to C minus D, this is also equal. And this is called as dividendo. Okay. So there are four terms you learnt over here. One is you flipped it. If you flip the ratio or invert it, still they are going to be equal. That is called as invertendo. Alternando, if you exchange these places over here, or you can also exchange D and A. D can be exchanged. A can come over here. D can come over here. Right? This is called as alternando. If you add the denominator to the numerator on both the sides, it is called as componendo. Still is going to be equal. Similarly, if you subtract it, then it's called as dividendo. Okay. So invertendo, alternando, componendo, dividendo. Remember these names. Yes. So if A by B is a ratio, then A square B square, A square is to B square is called as a duplicate ratio. This is nothing but A by B whole square, right? And root root A by root B, this is called as the subduplicate ratio. It's nothing but A by B whole root, or instead of writing whole root, I can write what will be the power over here. You study powers, no? Yeah. What is the power? Varshita, I am not able to hear you. It is A by B to the power of 1 by 2. Similarly, A cube is to B cube is called as the triplicate ratio. And if you take the, it's nothing but A by B whole cube. This is called the triplicate ratio. Similarly, if you do the cube root of A divided by cube root of B, then it's called as the subtriplicate ratio. Subtriplicate ratio, or A by B to the power of 1 by 3. Yes. So look at this example over here of what type of problems are going to come in from this chapter. So if A by A is to B is equal to 3 is to 4, then what is 6A plus B is to 4A plus 5B. Okay. So first write the equation. A by B is equal to 3 by 4. Okay. Similarly, 6A plus B divided by 4A plus 5B, we don't know, we have to find this out. Now, what we can do is, we can divide this whole thing by B, right? We can divide this whole thing by B and this thing by B. How? Using the technique that we learnt over there. What was the property over there? If, so let me say I have A is to B, A divided by P divided by B divided by P. If I divide the same thing on both the sides, then over here is still the same ratio. So I can divide by anything over here. So now I'm going to write that again. So this is the ratio. Now I'm going to divide this whole thing by b and this whole thing also by b. Still the ratio is going to remain the same. So once I do this, 6a divided by b is 6a by b. b divided by b is 1. Similarly, 4a divided by b is 4a by b, and 5b divided by b is plus 5. b into b is b divided by b is 1. So this is the simplification. Now I have a by b. I can substitute the value. I know the value of a by b is 3 by 4. So then substituting the value, I'm going to get 6 into 3 by 4 plus 1, 4 into 3 by 4 plus 5. This 4 and this 4 will get cancelled. This will be 2. This will be 3. So now I have 9 by 2 plus 1 divided by 3 plus 5, which is equal to, so this becomes 9 by 2 plus 1. So the LCM is 2. I can take it as 11 divided by 2 divided by 8. Now this comes to the denominator over here. So 11 by 2 into 8 is 16. So the answer is 11 by 16. You understood this problem? Harit and Varshit. I'm not able to hear you guys. Hello. Hello. Okay. Now can you try speaking? Harit and Varshit. Okay, now still I'm not able to hear your voices. So are there any doubts? You can put it in the chat box. Okay. So let me continue then. Just a minute, my computer is stuck. Yeah. Okay. So now let's move on to the next topic, which is called proportion. So what is the meaning of this proportion? When I say that any two ratios are equal, so for example, A by B is equal to C by D, this is called as a proportion. Okay. So this is a ratio. These are ratios. Okay. Both of these are ratios, individual ratios. A by B is a ratio. C by D is a ratio. When two ratios are equal, then it's called as a proportion. Okay. So this A by B is equal to C by D. This can also be written as A is to C, which is also equivalent to C is to D. So over here I'm going to write 4 dots instead of the equal to sign. Okay. So this is the symbol for proportionality. It's called as proportionality, right? So A is to C is proportional to C is to D. Okay. Okay. So this symbol with 4 dots. So let me write it again over here. This symbol over here represents the proportion, and it's read as A is to B as or proportional as C is to D. Just a minute. Yes. So in the expression A is to B as C is to D, these two terms. Yes. So A and D, these two terms over here, these are called as extremes of the proportion, whereas B and C, these are called as means of the proportion. Okay, extremes on the either end, so on the extreme ends, these are called as extremes, and the middle ones are called as means. Okay, so if this is true, okay, if A is to B as C is to D, then that means, or I can write it in this form, A by B is equal to C by D, then it means that you can cross multiply it. So when I cross multiply, what will I get? I will get AD is equal to BC. So AD is the extremes, right? So product of extremes is equal to product of means. Remember that. Product of extremes is equal to product of means. D is called the fourth proportional. Okay. So again, ABC, if ABC are in AB is to B is to C. So Look at this proportion over here. A is to B the same way or as is B is to C, which means A by B is equal to B by C. So then over here A, B, C are in continued proportion. This term is called as continued proportion. Okay, and C is also called as the third proportional to AB, and it is the fourth proportional to A, B, and B. So to AB is the third proportional, to A, B, and B it is the fourth proportional. And when you cross multiply, what happens when you cross multiply this? When I cross multiply, extremes is equal to product of means, right? So we get AC is equal to B into B. B into B is B square. Okay. So therefore, B is equal to square root of AC. If I shift this square to the other side over here, it becomes square root, right? When I remove the square. So therefore, B is equal to root of AC. Okay. And also, B is also called as the geometric mean. Oh, this is very important. Geometric mean between A and C, or the mean proportional. Remember these words. B is called as the mean proportional or the geometric mean. Okay. So again, we have our componendo and dividendo. So over there, A plus B by B is equal to C plus D by D. The same is also equal. This is also equal. And remember, this is also equal. A plus B by A minus B is equal to C plus D divided by C minus D. So how do we get this? Any idea? So this is componendo, right? This is, I told you that this is componendo. Okay, somebody tell me what is dividendo? What was the dividendo I told you earlier? Yeah, Harith and Varshit. Try to speak now. Okay, not yet. Okay, how about now? No, Varshit, you are still not audible for me. I don't know why. Okay, so dividendo. Am I audible? So dividendo says A minus B by B is equal to C minus D by D, right? So this is dividendo. When I combine componendo and dividendo, when I compare both of them, look at both of them, the denominator is the same, right? B by D, B by D. So when I divide this by this is divided by this. B by D and B by D will get cancelled. I will be left with A plus B by A minus B is equal to C plus D by C minus D. This is called as componendo and dividendo. This is only componendo. This is only dividendo. This is componendo and dividendo. Okay. So remember, this is another extra thing to remember. So either it can be a minus b by a plus b, or a plus b by a minus b, which is equal to this. These properties will be useful when you are solving the problems. Okay. So look at this example over here. What is the mean proportion between 4 and 64? Okay. So mean proportion means, like I told you, a by b is equal to b by c, and b is called as the mean proportion, right? So now they are asking you what is the mean proportion, what is the value of b, and they have given you a and they have given you c. You know the formula that b square is equal to ac, or b is equal to root ac, right? So therefore b is equal to root of a is 4, c is 64, right? This is multiplication. So 4 into 64, root of this is, root of 4 is 2, root of 64 is 8. So therefore b is equal to 16. Either you can solve it in this method, or you can solve it in this method. You can write the fraction like this. You can take b is equal to x, right? And then solving for x, you will get x square is equal to 256. Then therefore x is equal to 16. So by any way, you're going to get the same answer, which is 16. This is called as the geometric mean. It can also be called as the geometric mean or mean proportion. Okay, unitary method. So for example, suppose I don't have, okay, I have chalk pieces nearby. Suppose I give Varshit 5 chalk pieces, okay, and I give Harith 7 chalk pieces, okay, and the cost of these 5 chalk pieces is, let me say, rupees 2. Okay, this is cost 2 rupees. What is the what is the cost of the chalk pieces in Harith's hand? Again, I cannot hear you guys. I don't know why.